Finding the vertex of a parabola. There are two methods. One method that we'll discuss is when your parabola or your equation is written in the form of a times x minus h squared plus k. If you have a parabola written in this form, your vertex is h, comma k. H is the x value of your vertex, k is the y value of your vertex. Notice that with h, it's the opposite of the sign you see here. If you see a minus sign here, realize that it's a plus h. So that would be the opposite. For example, if we have f of x equals 3 times x minus 4 squared plus 16, we can read our vertex. This is our h, and then this is our k. So for our vertex, h is 4, k is 16, and that is the vertex of this parabola. Example 2. If f of x equals a negative 6 times x plus 2 squared minus 7. Again, your h is here, and it's the opposite of whatever this sign is, and your k picks up the sign that it has. So your vertex in this case, your h will be a negative 2 because it's the opposite, but k comes down just as it is, negative 7. So your vertex is a negative 2, negative 7. Example 3 of this type. F of x equals a negative 3 halves, x plus 7 halves, squared, plus 12. Your vertex comes from what's inside with the x. It's from our formula, and it's the opposite sign, so we would actually have a negative 7 halves for our h. Our k comes down with the sign that it has. It's a positive 12. So our vertex here is a negative 7 halves, comma 12. Our second demonstration is whenever your parabola is in the form of a quadratic equation, meaning ax squared plus bx plus c. In this case, we will use a shortcut, and that is that x value of your vertex will be a negative b over 2a. This is the x value of your vertex. Then you would substitute to find the y value. And that should be an a there. So in this first example, we have f of x equals x squared minus 2x plus 4. And with this example, because it's in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, we're going to use a shortcut. The shortcut is using x equals negative b over 2a to be that h that we were talking about, which is the x value of the vertex. So using substitution, our b is a negative 2. So in our formula, we have a negative times our b, which is a negative 2, over 2 times a, and our a in this case is an understood 1. So continuing to solve, we have 2 over 2, which is 1. So that's the x value of the vertex. So for the vertex, we have that x is 1. Now we must substitute 1 in for every x in our function. So rewriting the equation or the function, f of x equals x squared minus 2x plus 4. Substituting 1, we have 1 squared minus 2 times 1 plus 4. Continuing to simplify, we have 1 minus 2 plus 4. That's a negative 1 plus 4, which is, so the vertex for this one is 1, 3. And that's your vertex. Let's do another one. Example 2. This time we will let f of x equals 2x squared plus 4x minus 7. We want to find the vertex, which we know is a h and a k. Same thing as saying a x, y, so ordered pair. Because this equation is in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, we will use the shortcut where the x, or the h, is a negative b over 2 times a. From our function, f of x equals 2x squared plus 4x minus 7, we're substituting in, our b is 4, so we would have a negative times 4 divided by 2 times our a, which is 2. So we end up with a negative 4 over 4, which is a negative 1 for the x value. Now we must find the y value, and that's going to come from substituting negative 1 into the original. So we have 2 times negative 1 squared plus 4 times negative 1 minus 7. That is 2 times 1 minus 4 minus 7, 2 minus 4 minus 7, negative 2 minus 7, negative 9. So our vertex is negative 1, negative 9. Our last example, f of x equals negative 3x squared plus 2x minus 5. Again, it's in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, so we're going to use x equals negative b over 2a for the x value of the vertex. Plugging in our b and our a, we have negative times 2, which is our b, 2 times a negative 3, which is our a. So we have a negative 2 over negative 6, which gives us a positive 1/3 for the. So the x value is 1/3. We will plug 1/3 into our function for every x. We have negative 3 times 1/3 squared plus 2 times 1/3 plus 5. That's a negative 3 times 1/9 plus 2/3 plus 5. We end up with a negative 1/3 plus 2/3 plus 5, which is 1/3, and that's actually a minus 5. If we see here, this was a minus, so minus 5 minus minus. So 1/3 minus 5, and then 1/3 minus 5 would be, you have to have the same denominator, so multiply top and bottom by 3. We have 1/3 minus 15 over 3, which is a negative 14/3. So the vertex is 1/3, negative 14 over 3. That ends our lessons on finding the vertex of a parabola.